Please welcome the director, Orit Fouks Rotem. Thank you so much, Orit. Thank you for this this fabulous film. And I wanted to start by asking you, where did this come from? Where did the idea for this film start?
From the closest place, from my mother. My mother is the mayor advisor for women's issue in Hadera, and she participated in a group like that in Givat Chaviva, which is a coexistence center. And yes, so just based on her experience, I went to a research of a few years of making those kind of groups myself, in order to hear and to see what comes up when you give women cameras, and I wrote it while I did it.
And the relationships in this film are so natural and so just feel so authentic. How much of it is scripted, and how much of it is actually just them, being themselves?
They're all actors, except of Liora Levy, who is the one who lives in the boat. She never acted in her life, and I met her through my script advisor, which is kayaking, and met her in the sea. And besides of her, all of them are actresses, and it's all scripted, but I gave them a lot of freedom to improvise. So they had like a skeleton of what they gonna say, but they could move and do what they feel. So it's like 3/4 and a quarter, I think.
3/4 scripted and a quarter of their improvisation and taking it into their own. And did they each develop their character, or how did you choose? How did they fit into who their character was?
I had characters that I wrote, but then I decided to give the actresses themselves to write them inside the character. So each of them had her own biography. I didn't like her own biography in an emotional way. Like Suad, she's the actress Joanna Said. She's single and she's Christian. But the pain that she's going through is her own. I mean, I worked with her for a long time, so I got to know her really good. So she uses her own pain and her own experience in life in order to bring this to what you saw.
It's really amazing. I mean, I've seen this film now a few times here specifically, and seeing how just authentic really they all come across, all your characters and you and the situations. You feel like they're all in it together. Was that the experience on the set? Did you have this atmosphere of we're feeling like you're in that classroom?
Yes, we had only 12 days because it's a very low budget film. Even for a low budget, it's a low budget. So we had only 12 days of shooting, so we just shot it chronologically, and it was like a course. I mean, we didn't really make takes of things. We had takes of like half an hour sometimes. So it just happened, and they started to forget they're in a film. They just felt, and they become very close. I mean, of course, it didn't last. It's not like we're meeting a lot, but we have a really like a WhatsApp group that's happening. But they became friends. It was very intense, and it was special.
So let me dive in a little bit deeper, and then we'll take some questions from the audience too. But bringing Arab and Jewish women together, the choice of that, the significance of it, and then for this film. Sorry, I'll get like political now. At this time, to be selected for, it's winning the Academy Award in Israel, but it's really also, everybody knows it's being selected to represent Israel. Was that something that was controversial? Was it something that you were told to avoid? Why did you choose to engage in this topic?
Well, first of all, I chose it because it's based on my mother experience, and it just gave me the idea. But I wanted to talk about women in Israel, and women in Israel are Arab and Jews, mostly. So I didn't think I have to concentrate only in the Jewish part. I wanted to talk about women and to show. And for me, yeah, it's to make a movie. It's a political act in a way. It doesn't have to be political, like to tell you the agenda, but to show you deep characters of Palestinian women. It's political, unfortunately, in Israel. So for me, it was important to show deep characters of women and to give them the respect and the ability to show all kinds of sides, not just what they think about the situation, but their life. And luckily, the Academy members that choose the films are filmmakers, and usually they believe in human rights. And
The good ones, the good filmmakers.
yeah, usually. So yeah, the film was accepted with a big warm hug. But also, I don't think it's really a film that makes you feel like antagonism, because it doesn't. It's based on love and based on the positive things, I think. So it doesn't say something against Israel, but it shows human. I think it's important.
And I think it really brings to the public, I mean, parts of Israeli society, Hadera is not usually what you get to see in the movies. No, it's just, maybe one other movie made about Hadera, but it rarely happens. And the stories of the people, and these are the real people. You're getting not just, the Jewish perspective, but actually seeing that there's an Arab perspective there too. Why was it so important for you to you said that your mother had this, but why was it important for you to tell this story?
I wanted to talk it's my first film, and I wanted to talk about a lot of subjects that are interesting for me, like independent and trauma, sexual trauma that Suad is dealing with, and a lot of subjects that I wanted to talk about, and it gave me the platform to do it in a way that also talk about the medium of cinema, which I really am interested in this tool, and because I do it. And I felt like I found the best way for me to talk about things that I really care about in the way that I want to talk about it.
I'm going to ask one last question, I promise, and then I'm going to hand it over to you guys, so be ready. But I'm curious, since you're talking about the cinematic tool, one of the things that fascinates me about the film is the use of the home video footage that you use throughout. There are some moments, some scenes where you're going from your professional camera and then cutting using the kind of that perspective, the point of view of the handheld camera, of the less professional camera that they're using in the course. What were your why did you choose sometimes to use? How did you choose which moments you wanted to cut to that angle, and why have that perspective there?
Well, this is Rona's line, the director's line, that has her idea to make a film. So in the end, she shot all during the shooting, Dana Ivgi. But
Dana actually shot those
She
scenes.
shot all the time. It was part of her, what she had to do, because she thought about.
Dana plays the teacher.
Rona. Yeah, the instructor. And in the end, I chose only 3 times to use it in the film. The first time is when she decides she wants to make the film. When Nasrin is singing in the circle. I think the second time was when Naed understands that she wants to do it. In the end, it's Suad pushing. So I used it as a dramatic tool to feel Rona in those moments. But all the film is a bit, the feeling is of a documentary sometimes, because it's the way we understood we can shoot it without interrupting the acting.
Fabulous. Your turn. We have some hands up. We'll take one over there. Just wait for the microphone. We'll pass
the
that around.
microphone here.
I was wondering, well, it was fabulous. Thank you so much for that movie. I was wondering how you were going to have each character go from no, you can't possibly share this to yes, but then I was thinking you couldn't possibly do that. That would be a whole separate film. So I love what you did to end it, but what were your thoughts about, was there ever a thought in your mind that you would have a scene to get from no to yes?
Do you mean, I'm not sure I understood the question.
So they all said you can't share this, and then we're seeing it. So the question was, well, how did they all change their minds? But
yeah, their actor says, and
of course,
yeah, it's a
but in
question
the
that I
story,
get a lot.
you know,
Yeah.
stringing us along through the whole process. Was there ever a thought that you would get them all to think about what I'm saying is important? All our lives are important, and people can benefit from this.
Yes, when I did the research, when I did this workshop, I had the ideas to make a documentary out of it, and then I understood I will never be able to. A woman that can't have a driver license won't be able to show her face on screen, and then I decided that that's the best way is what I thought at the beginning. It's to make it a fiction film. It was like it's changed during the process, and in some point they even told me, I told them that I want to make a documentary, and they told me, take actors. What do you want from us? We can't be in a film, or we don't want to be in a film. But it's not like the characters can recognize themselves in the film. I changed a lot of biographical information about them. It's not like they can see it and feel exposed. So yeah, that's also a way to talk about documentary film and the problematic things about it.
Something very meta about that. What we got to see here is something that nobody in a class like that would ever get to see. Exactly. Yep. We have.
I loved it so much. I loved everything about it. I mean, I could talk about so many different things, but I love the way you sort of like would have some kind of conflict happen and you didn't necessarily resolve it. Like when the woman started talking about being afraid of the Arab women and she would cross the street, you felt like there was going to be like, you know, this hot-hated conversation or something between the two of them. And then throughout the film, I felt like, I mean, again, it felt so real. Like I felt like she was trying so hard to be friends with the woman whom she had the conflict with, or even at the end, again, about when she walked off, that freaky scene at the end where she felt, you know, she came back and like you didn't have to explain that. And I loved that. It was like they sort of had to come to this class. They were sort of, it became part of their lives. And it was like, it was just so wonderful. You did tell all these issues of these women just in such a beautiful way, and they became like sisters. So it was like a film within a film. It really was, because like you said, you have a WhatsApp chat group or whatever. I'm sure they really became this relationship really was formed. It was beautiful. It felt like a film, a documentary, all of it. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So it was a wonderful film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. For myself, watching it, most of the time I thought it was a documentary, and then I was wondering, well, why is this being all film? That wasn't quite consistent. But it was only when I saw the cast and I said, oh, you know, these are actors. But what about, I didn't know anything about film before I came, so I'm wondering how many people leave thinking this is a documentary?
A lot of people think it's a documentary, which was a surprise for me because I didn't mean to trick anybody, or I just wanted to make it feel believable. But yes, it's. I get this a lot. I think when you see the names of the actresses, you understand.
Probably people who don't read that at the end.
So
You
they
have to
must
stay,
be very
stay
mad.
for the credits. No, you made it too believable. That's the problem.
Yes, it was a very good film, but I'm going to tell you, finding out now that this was not an authentic experience. It was written with actors and with actresses, and I really felt taken in. And it's not a pleasant feeling. I fe-
No, I
yeah,
understand, but
it isn't a pleasant feeling. There's something. It's dishonest for me. You did a wonderful film.
no, I understand what you
But-
say, but it's true. It's true stories and it's true emotions. It's just not the true. I mean, I don't think it's. I understand you feel like someone cheated you, but it's not, because I think because it's, it's real stories. I had in my group a woman that her husband didn't allow her to have a driver license, but you couldn't hear it even if I wouldn't do it in that way. So it's not like I made stories up and from nothing. Not that I believe that it's possible, because everything is from something, but in that case, I mean, I wouldn't want you to feel like this, because it's based on my experience and true and real women that I met.
We have another question.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. So I tell everybody these films that we're seeing this year, this came from the last Israeli administration. So political administration. So I just am very curious, even though I've been there, I have friends, like I know how diverse the political opinions are, or everything. Like, who runs film and the arts in Israel?
There are funds. This film was supported by the Israeli Fund for Film and the new Israeli Fund. But we have some funds, not a lot. There's not a lot of money for films in Israel, unfortunately.
So America doesn't
Of course,
have.
other Israel.
There's in Israel. There's no. In America, there's no real fund for filmmaking. Most countries in the world have government funds that support local filmmaking, and Israel has. It gets divided. The money, the pot gets divided up into different funds, and different films get supported by different funds depending on their focus, depending on their selection process. But it is government. It's mostly government funding. We're going to take one last question down here.
It's a comment. This is my second screening of this film, and I saw it, I think, 2 years ago when Isaac had it here. You were right, Isaac. It was worth seeing a second time. My first reaction when I saw it the first time was your reaction. I felt cheated. I felt like, huh? After all of that 2 hours of, my heart was racing from all of the drama of these women's lives. And then today, as I'm screening this and I'm watching this with you, I'm actually, I saw it in a different way. It was a delight. It was uplifting. It was lovely to see everybody making an effort to get along with each other and to understand each other and to learn from each other. So I think on a second screening, you have a different experience than the first one. So maybe that helps to digest this one.
This is definitely a movie to see a second time, and you could see it at the Quad Cinema. It's continuing to run, and please support independent cinema, because it is struggling these days, and people need to come back to those theaters and see these movies together. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orit.
Yeah.
Thank you for the beautiful film.